Hello everybody and welcome back to Watching Walford. I'm Ash and today is the first time ever for the Hollyoaks weekly-ish roundup where I'm going to talk about all of the Hollyoaks topics that I've now just caught up to on I am caught up as of the 9th of April 2024. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to have a multitude of topics, and obviously the main ones will be the most important ones and the one that's closest to me. And I'll fuck around with the order a little bit more. But the topics are as followed. Freddie's return. Steve and Warren's feud continuing. Dillon and Lucas's story continues. And we may as well throw in the Roe Lomax story. So, obviously, I'll go it through Freddie, then Dillon, then Roe, then Steve and Warren's confession, and then finally the storyline that's living rent-free in my fucking brain. I had a dream about the Frankie and JJ storyline. That's how in my fucking head this storyline is, and honestly, I have not felt a storyline like it in a very long time, so I am very much so looking forward to being able to discuss the update about it. There'll obviously be standalone videos where I discuss this topic, as I did create a series, as it is one that's integral, but maybe for now I'll just talk about it a bit more in this until there's a major break in the storyline. So, to start with Freddie Roscoe's return. Now, the Roscoes were one of my favourite families, honestly, look, my Hollyoaks history is pretty basic. I started off in 2020 and then watched 2015, which obviously you get some of the more classic, like some of the good stuff like the Gloved Hand Killer, and obviously the Roscoes as pretty much the main big family, and, you know, Mercedes and Joe, and Lindsay, Kim, all these sorts of storylines, like Porsche, Celine, Renee McQueen, etc., that period of time. And the Roscoes they're an enjoyable family. They're a family full of cheeky lads who are all, you know, raised each other with a code, essentially. They're kind of like the Mitchells, but with less overt criminal undertones. They generally keep their shit to themselves, but still, they've all got reputations, and well, the reputation means that they're all absolute fucking pussy and I know that's a crude way to put it. It is. Okay, I'll tone it back. Look, they always know how to get their hole. And the woman are, I'm sure, always satisfied. So everybody wins. This is exactly what we got with Freddie's return, as Freddie starts laying pipe immediately. No matter what, regardless of the situation. Oh, you want me to get my fucking shirt off? Yeah, alright, boys. I didn't know I was going to be as excited and ready for the Freddie return. Warren wants Mercedes to launder money for him. She says no, and then Freddie contacts her, and Mercedes goes, yo, I could do with your help, and he shows up. Him and Warren get into a little bit of a fight. They both, like, trade barbs back and forth, and they're just all over the fucking shop. Freddie comes out on top, essentially. This is a part of Warren's ongoing downward spiral. Freddie, then he obviously sees Darren. He goes to the old Roscoe home, goes to break in, finds a gun that's been planted there by someone, as it's this now new, I have plans, my boss needs this, your boss needs that, blah blah blah. And we've seen that Grace is likely someone he's going to be helping, but he's there to reclaim what is ours. So I guess maybe it could be like the Fraser Black kind of house that they all lived in. Maybe that's what they're trying to reclaim. It would be cool to see him back in that house, but for now we just have him being sketchy around Warren. He does try to break into said house, and he takes his shirt off around Lizzie and sleeps with her. And then during his shift at the garage, I forgot her name, Marie comes on in and is like, I need Warren. And he's like, well, funny you'd ask for Warren, but I'm here. And then they have a shag as well. And even fucking Kitty, when she appeared in the bar, went, fucking hell, who's that fucking grease monkey? So Freddie's return it's got the right amount of impact. It's definitely earned its spot and earned its time. I think they've done a fun job of it. And I think it's exciting, as obviously now it kind of leaves the door more open for more Roscoes if we need to, like in the spring trailer with Robbie, possibly Jason at some point, you know, get Holly back or whatever. He seems to be trying to get Lexia's kid back, so time will tell. But all in all, if I'm grading it, I'd give his return, I'd give it a solid B. It was enjoyable, it was good fun, and it had that campy Roscoe charm, which, you know, Hollyoaks has definitely missed. Because, look, Warren is older now, so he can't really be that cheeky kind of get away with shit. But like Freddie, he can definitely slot into that role. Topic number 2, we have Dillon and Lucas going to continue. And I suppose I'll loop this back in with the Lomax stuff, as obviously if you're not aware and you haven't paid attention, maybe this is your first time engaging in Hollyoaks content, you're an EastEnders fan, you just want to know a bit more about Hollyoaks in a more approachable way. Ro is the daughter of, basically, at birth, Rose and Dee Dee were swapped at birth by a drunk nurse. So Tegan, who's Leela's sister, raised Rose, and obviously Dee Dee was raised by Diane, but obviously, you know, not the birth mum, essentially. But since they formed such an attachment to him, they obviously kept that up. Now Tegan's obviously dead, so Ro is with Tony and Diane. There's old kidnapping in there. It's some crazy shit. But Ro has now decided that, and they've realized and voiced that they are trans and they are a boy. So where we initially thought it was going to be Tony, who was going to be like, fucking hell, he's an old dinosaur now, like, don't bloody understand it, why don't you just like the fucking thing? Instead, they gave that to Diane, who has kind of taken up that role of like, Tony, how do we know she's not just faking it? I don't know what that is. And we've seen Tony adapt to it, having talked with Sally, who is trans as well. And they've seen them take advice from Kitty, who also is trans. So we've slowly seen them be a little more welcoming and do genuinely want the best for Ro. Who doesn't want the best for Ro, though, is Carter, who is taking his religious beliefs and is strongly against the transition, believing that, sex is determined by God and he wouldn't make anything wrong, right? Try twist that logic whatever way you want to fit your definition. That's what most religious folk and non-religious folk do, so yes. But essentially, after Carter keeps pushing them, keeps misnaming them, keeps dead naming them, and keeps fucking calling them using the wrong pronouns, Ro gets upset and smacks him with his bag, and Carter obviously freaks out and then goes, "Look, I won't press charges if you join the SBU, the behavioral unit, whatever the fuck it's called," and essentially sends Lucas over to do his dirty work. And Lucas essentially goes, "Look, Carter's not all bad. If you give him a chance, maybe he'll understand." And then Ro gives a pretty concrete analogy, you basically attesting to feeling like you're in the wrong body in a way where you feel dysphoria constantly because you feel like you're always in the wrong clothes and you feel like you're always trying to do the right thing for other people to be happy. Like, why aren't you doing what you feel you want to do to be happy? And this kind of spurs on Lucas to start to address the urges, as Carter would call them, start to fully figure out, okay, I am gay. You know, maybe I am gay. Maybe I can't just pray it away. And he looks up like, how do you know if you're gay? Downloads a dating app. I'll talk about it next week. That's the Vicky's dad arriving. But they're at Vicky's, I assume 18th birthday party, just birthday party. I don't know. Ages in soap are a mystery to me. They're at the party, and Dillon and Frankie get a bit wasted, and then Frankie's just trolleyed because she's doing it to cope. Lucas finally takes the chance and tries to kiss Dillon, but Dillon in turn rejects him because ultimately, like, he sees that this isn't about us, this is about you, and this isn't the right way to do this. Which obviously sets Lucas off because, you know, it took a lot for him to actively say what he wants and actively talk about it. Because, you know, he's not really a talker. He doesn't really talk about his feelings or emotions. He kind of puts his, like, you know, you're a teen, and as a teen, your problems are the worst thing in the world. It created a disbalance as Dillon's happily out, and I think he's pansexual, maybe? Yeah, he's pansexual, there we go. You know, but he pushes Lucas off, and Lucas tries to, like, go to a rebound, and a guy messages him on a dating app, but he doesn't feel entirely comfortable with himself. Yeah, but they nearly finally kiss. It's nearly really wholesome and adorable. And, you know, Hollyoaks has definitely been in a good place because I'm all in. All right, I'm all in. I'm shipping it, boys. I don't even know what the fucking ship name is, but I'm in. All right, I'm fucking in. Strap me in, boys. It's incredible. I love it. I do feel bad for Frankie, but obviously, you know, Lucas isn't straight, so you can't force it, man. So it's an asexual person who tried to get into relationships. You can't force attraction. But yeah, no, first I will just say the Rose stuff has been really important. I think it's really big that they're doing this long-term trans storyline. And I really appreciate that it's being given the necessary time it deserves and the, like, seriousness that it does deserve as well. I think it's a storyline that I also agree, as long as they don't fuck it up, will transcend this era of Hollyoaks. That, along with the Frankie and JJ storyline, it is a simply phenomenal one. And I think we're in really good hands with the actors involved in it. It'll probably get a little bit worse before it gets better. And that's not necessarily how everybody wants it to go, but we take it nonetheless. And I suppose the Dillon and Lucas stuff, yeah, I guess I'm grading it. The Rose stuff, I'll give it a C. I like it. The only reason I'm not liking it is because we're going to have to deal with Carter and his beliefs, and it's just, fucking hell. But you can't not. There'll always be objectors. There'll always be people against it. So it's good to show it off and educate people if they may have some of these views, and educate, like, look, it doesn't matter though. It's not your problem to carry. It's not your problem to harbour. And so the Rose stuff, it can get a solid C. The Dillon Lucas stuff can get a B. If only they had kissed. I just don't want it to become this big long-winded thing. But obviously there will be a point where Lucas goes, no, this is about us. This is about us. I want us to be together. You know, I really do like you. And they have a little kiss. I know it's a bit weird for people to be, like, anticipating this, but I mean, people anticipate it for fucking every other relationship in soap. So, you know, look, most of the gay characters in soap die. We have to appreciate them whilst they're still here. Moving on to the next topic, that being the Stee and Warren stuff and Warren's confession, where we get a little glimpse into well, essentially Warren is still on a fucking warpath where he's just barging through everything, feeling guilty over Ella, and constantly blaming everybody else for his lack of doing when he had the chance. And at the start of the week, he says, you know what, fuck it. All right, Steve, you've lost enough. You're fine. And it's like, okay, cool. But then James goes and talks to him, threatens him off, and then Warren goes, you know what, fuck you. All right? Fuck you, Steve. You did cause these problems. And Norma says, I don't want to be with you like this. Sienna's like, you're not seeing the kids if you're like this. And, you know, everybody's being pushed away by Warren, as everybody's reminding him that if you keep on this path, you will go inside. And that's not what you want to do. Because his plan is to leave to Ibiza in the end. The second it turns is when Warren makes a toast to Ella at the relaunch of The Loft. And he says, you know, to all the people left behind and the people who essentially saying, Steve, you're fucking next, buddy. And he forces a recovering alcoholic to drink some booze in front of everyone, which was despicable. And in turn, Sienna decides, fuck it, we need to get a confession out of Warren, otherwise you aren't safe. And so Sienna plots this big, long-winded confession, like, alright, here we go. You know, and he does confess to pushing Steve off the roof. But the main issue is it's on Sophie's iPad, because she exported the fucking file, and Sophie's carrying around this vital bit of evidence that Warren might eventually find. So Steve tries to get the tablet, but he fails and confesses to the fact that they have a confession of Warren, and in turn he makes Steve go with this beardy man to go ahead and threaten and destroy this bit of confession. And, you know, so Steve with a gun with this beard man, and they have to face Sienna, Liberty, and Dilly and Maxine. And in the end, it seems like Maxine shot the accomplice. And yeah, it's a fucking... They're really kind of setting a lot of bodies on fire in a sense. I don't know if that phrase is really too apt, but there's a lot of damage being done in this. And I do believe that this probably sets up a Who Shot Warren storyline. He's not going to die, I don't believe that. But I do believe that he will be, like, there will be a big whodunit. Fucking Joel or Norma, probably. Just because that's how these things usually happen. But Warren will escape anyways, and they'll get through it. But yeah, the Steve and Warren stuff, it's another step of the continuation. Obviously, seeing Steve confess to Ella's death was never going to be all sunshine and roses, especially for me as a Steve fanboy. It was never going to be the best of times, and it has been really rough to watch, and I do really dislike Warren at this point in time. Like, you know, just because of the actions that he's facing. And I do look forward to eventually him getting humbled, and eventually Steve being allowed to move past it, but not before a lot of things are put at risk, like Steve's friendship with Sienna, and, you know, his relationship with James and his kids. There'll be a lot of bad before there is good. I'll grade this a solid C. It's not what I want to see, but eventually we'll get there. So, like, it's been good nonetheless. It's not the outcome that I currently want, so it's not as fun as it should possibly be. Finally, let's talk about the ending piece of the first ever Hollyoaks Weekly-ish roundup. That being a continuation of Frankie and JJ's incest sexual abuse storyline. Which is living in my head rent-free. Alright, I cannot stop thinking about this storyline. I've not been so attached to characters so quickly, it's unbelievable. Because I obviously absolutely adore Frankie in a sense of, like, I want to protect Frankie. I want Frankie to be safe. I want Frankie to be loved. I don't want any of these problems to fucking happen. I want to be able to be there to protect her from JJ. who I absolutely fucking despise. And if you want my takes on all this stuff, remember, I have been tweeting about this constantly, and it's just so fucking unbelievable of how much I despise JJ. And this week continues as Suzanne is still moved out. They have their nail appointment, and she says, yo, you know, you should write in this journal. It helped me as a kid. Maybe it would help you to actually get past it. But Frankie writes in the journal, JJ terrifies me, which he obviously reads because there is no privacy whatsoever allowed with that piece of shit. And he then essentially emotionally blackmails her, being like, why would you write that? You know, I care about you, and just gaslighting her into why she's causing problems and how it's her fault that mum left, and it's like, fucking hell. And then it even continues to get worse, where he basically coerces her into whatever they do, whatever sexual abuse stuff happens behind the closed doors, where he's like, you know, just like, I'm sorry, and he's like, how sorry though? And well, it's implied that, you know, he's forced this, and she's obviously crying and upset, and he's like, I'll always take care of you. But essentially, don't you fucking dare write anything about me, and don't you fucking think about doing, like, telling the social anything. And it just, my heart breaks every time. The actress and they're both doing a fantastic job of portraying something so criminal and something so disgusting and despicable. And I suppose I've got a little story that I'll throw in at the end, but god damn. Whew. And this continues to happen as Frankie continues to spiral. It's just, we've seen hints at Frankie, like, possibly being like, you know, this something's not all right. And at Vicky's party, she go ahead and steals a bunch of vodka and throws up, and she also continues her self-harming, and oh, fucking hell. Like, yeah. The one thing I'm slightly worried about is the fact that I'm worried that we won't get a really good ending to this. And I feel like I don't want this to go on for a long time, because it'll be hard as a fan and someone who's enjoying it. But I feel like it desperately needs enough time to fully portray how serious it is. And that's the bit I'm slightly scared about with the changes of schedule, and, you know, if some of these characters are axed, or, like, I'm terrified that this won't get the, like, this won't get the ending it deserves, and I desperately need it to, and I desperately want Frankie to be safe. I had a dream. I somehow came into Hollyoaks as a family friend. Obviously, I wasn't like an actor. I was in the show. What I found myself doing is I was like, I need to protect Frankie, you know? I was essentially like a fucking golden retriever. Like, you're safe with me. You won't get hurt here. Everything's perfectly fine. It was one of those really heartbreaking dreams. Especially because the way that my brain interpreted it was just a really heartbreaking thing, where you see this girl who's just trying to get through everything the best she can. I was there to be comfort, essentially. I was making sure that she was protected and she was safe, and to make sure that any of the abuse just didn't continue. Yeah, it was just really heartbreaking, honestly. That's how in my fucking head this dream is. Like, it's occupying my dreams. My brain's inserting me into this storyline to try and protect one of the characters. That's never happened before. Nothing really happened, so I can't make it a high grade. I'll put it a C, but it is just so tragic as to how much my heart breaks for Frankie, and how much I want to be able to protect the character, and I want JJ to be fucking locked up. And I think it's been a very long time since I've had like a storyline that's had such an impact on me, and it's been something that I can't get out of my head. And once again, I just want to commend all the actors and the writers and Hollyoaks for how they portrayed it in such a harrowing and kind of disgusting way, but it's almost kind of made me love the characters more, and I really hope that Frankie eventually gets justice. That at least is what we can guarantee, and that at least is what will be really satisfying when we get there, but who knows when that will be. Anyways, that was the Hollyoaks Weekly-ish Roundup, a little podcast where I go through and talk about whatever happened this somewhat weekly-ish. Will it be that weekly? Honestly, I can't tell you. Because obviously I have to watch EastEnders for the podcast. You know, I watch that like religiously each week. But Hollyoaks is a show that I'd love to just be able to put on like 5 episodes at a time. Like, yes. And then I just get through it, and then I'm obsessed. And then I have to wait another couple of days, and just, fucking hell. But yeah, like I will say, I've really enjoyed this, and I've really had a good time talking about it. So if you want to see more of the Hollyoaks Weekly-ish Roundup, tell me in the comment section down below, and as always, tell me what you think about all the storylines I've discussed. If I've missed any as well, tell me in the comment section. And finally, I want to thank everybody who's been supporting me doing all the Hollyoaks stuff. It has been a great way to talk about what is probably the most obsessed I've been about soap, and it's something that is somewhat still all mine, and I don't feel particularly indebted to need to cover it and need to think about the bigger picture. I am just a fan, and I do genuinely love Hollyoaks. So that's why I hope that I can somewhat bring it to more people, and even if not, I think the Hollyoaks content space is absolutely dire. So I hope that there will at least be some level of coverage for this, as it is in a very good spot at the minute. And I don't even get particularly emotional about these things, but I am genuinely passionate, and I truly do love where the show's at, and I will continue to make sure that everybody knows, and I'll continue to make sure that everybody feels that it is exactly how I say it is. And I do hope that through osmosis, some people pick stuff up, and some people genuinely get excited, and maybe even get some new fans of the show. But yes, that has been the first edition of the Hollyoaks Weekly-ish Roundup. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. And once again, I'll just remind everybody, I haven't watched the current episode as it's coming out. I've not watched the Wednesday episode, but I have pretty much watched essentially up till Tuesday, the 9th of April. I have been Ash from Watching Walford. So like the video, comment and subscribe. And thank you for watching the first edition of the Hollyoaks Weekly-ish Roundup. See you on the next one. Bye bye.